Welcome and thank you for joining us today. My name is Mary Price. I'm the Events and Marketing Manager at the Shingo Institute at Utah State University. I'm excited to have my colleagues with us today, Sean Barker, Brittany Ogden, and Helen Zach. Sean and Brittany oversee the site assessment process, and Helen Zach oversees the research and publication awards along with Shingo Insight. We just published an article yesterday in our monthly newsletter that talks more about the assessment process. That article can also be found on our website. Just go to shingo.org, click the media tab, and select the blog, and you'll find the article there. It's titled Challenging for the Shingo Prize in Shingo Insight. I received several emails from individuals that had time conflicts and asked for a recording. I just wanted to make you aware that all of our recordings for our webinars can be found on our YouTube channel. And you can also access that from our website under the media tab, and it's under videos. And with that, I'll turn the time over to Brittany.
Welcome, everybody. We're so glad to have you. In this webinar, Sean and I are going to be talking about the Shingo Prize Challenge. We'll be going over the entire challenge process, start to finish, including items that you can do prior to challenging and the benefits of challenging. We'll only have 20 minutes today to cover this very detailed process, so we'll only cover the basics here. If you have not done it already, we encourage you to download and read the Shingo Prize Challenge guidelines that are available on our website, or you can click this QR code. Everything that we're going to be talking about today is detailed in these guidelines. And as I said before, we only have 20 minutes today on this webinar. But if you would like to contact me, we'd be happy to set up an appointment with Sean and I to go over more in detail this process and answer any questions that you have. We will also leave 10 minutes at the end of this webinar to have a Q&A. I'll now turn the time over to Sean to start with our agenda and talk about some items that the Shingo Institute can offer.
So we're, as Brittany said, we're gonna talk about this prize process and how you challenge. And this is a lot of what Brittany and my time is spent doing, talking with organizations. So the first place to start is before you're ready to challenge, get in touch with us, because going through the workshop series is incredibly important. These workshops are designed for any organization to strengthen their assessment process, their culture, the results that they're getting, but specifically for challengers that are going to challenge for the prize, because it gets us level set on speaking the same language, talking about the assessment in the same light, understanding what examiners are going to be asking, how they're going to ask those questions. All of this is taught in these workshops. So we encourage you to take as many individuals from your organization, especially those that are going to be involved in this process, through this workshop, so they have a deep understanding of the model, our assessment methodology, and how this process works. Each one of these workshops has what we call a go and observe portion to it. And during that go and observe, you get to practice exactly what examiners do. How do they go down to the shop floor and practically be able to look at the culture in an organization? So this is an extremely rich experience to take your folks through. But then now, after that's done, how do we get everybody on the shop floor speaking the same language? Well, we also have a workshop that is provided by our online provider, MyEducator, that's specifically designed for the shop floor to get them to understand the language of the model and how we talk about things and how we talk about the culture. It's an inexpensive way to be able to influence everybody in the organization. It's about a 2-hour online workshop that one can complete. Keep in mind that all of our examiners, this is their first requirement, right? There's other requirements, but their first requirement is they must become a Shingo alumni. That means they've gone through every one of these workshops and they keep up to date with us on webinars that we provide for them. So this is really the starting point for understanding the model and understanding our assessment and what will happen during a challenge. Next slide, Britt. So to accompany this, we've also come up with some publications. We've got several publications that are out now. One is in the making as we speak. The final one, the build, is in the making. And so hopefully that will be available the end of this year, or the beginning of next year. But this series of books is specifically designed to accompany each workshop. So it has detailed explanations and case studies and practical examples that'll deepen your understanding for the workshop. Now you can read these before the workshop, or you can read them after the workshop. I would recommend reading them before, so that experience is just rich in your mind as you go in to the workshop and you go into that practical go and observe activity that we have in each one. The ordering information is on our website for each one of these, and you can order them from there.
Thanks, Sean. All right, so like Sean said, before the challenge process, the application is submitted, we really hope that we've already met with you and talked to your organization. In some cases, we talk to organizations years before they turn in their application to challenge. So the Shingo Prize Challenge application can be found on our website under the assessment tab. Along with the application, a company profile sheet and an org sheet and the results are required. Among other things, the application will also ask the name and contact information of what we call an official contact person. And this is the person that we will have our main contact with throughout the entire assessment process. All communication will go through them. On the application, we'll also ask for a date of intent to submit your achievement report. Once that achievement report is submitted, then it will start part 1 of the assessment, which is the achievement packet assessment. All required documents must be submitted before the Shingo Institute staff can review the application. I want to emphasize review. This is not analyzing the results or anything like that. We just review to make sure that you have all your information. What we look for is at least 3 years transformation results, and that all required documents are submitted and have followed the guidelines. After the assessment staff reviews the documents, we will schedule an eligibility meeting with the official contact person and go over everything that has been provided to the Shingo Institute. During this, that we can also ask eligibility questions at that time. If needed, we will provide advice or options on the current results that you have submitted, or ask for additional results if we don't see that you have submitted enough that you need. And our goal is to help you tell your best story. So after this, we'll send out a notification if the application has been approved or not. Sean, do you have anything else on that?
No, I think that's pretty straightforward, Britt. I would add that, you know, all like Brittany said earlier, remember everything we're talking about, you can go to the guidelines and walk through this, or give us a call.
Yeah.
Shingo Insight. So Shingo Insight is the newest tool that we added to the assessment process a couple of years ago now. We've been doing Insight a lot longer than that, but we've now made it a mandatory part of the challenge. And this is a really important tool, not only for organizations that challenge for the prize, but for organizations that want to understand cultural gaps within their own organization. This tool helps you do it. It's an internal assessment. If somebody has already taken this, if an organization has already taken this, within the past year of the challenge, then we will keep that and use that for the assessment. If they have not, then we'll administer this during the assessment. During the assessment, there's no extra charge for this. It's just part of the packet that is put together for the examiners. The examiners get a much deeper view into the organization because it's an internal assessment of the organization. And the examiners will use this as they go in to that. I'm going to leave the rest about insight for Helen's part of this presentation, which comes directly after ours. So stay tuned for that after our Q&A. So the achievement report is the 50-page document that each organization will put together. It includes the results that Brittany talked about just a few slides ago. All of this is put into the achievement report. And the achievement report is really how you articulate the story of your organization, the transformational story. How have the systems changed the behaviors that are now achieving those results that you're reporting? Don't take this report for granted. This takes a lot of time to put together. It comes from all different parts of the organization. We've had many organizations tell us that just putting this together has been such a valuable experience for them because they got information from everywhere. And rarely does that happen in an organization where it all comes together to one focal point to be able to turn in to tell that transformational story for your organization. So you can start writing this, but don't finish it until you get the results of that insight survey, until you can put in some documentation about the gaps that were found there and how you're working on those. Some you may have already been working on, others you're beginning to work on them, right? We all have gaps within our organization. What's important is what we're doing to address those. So that achievement report becomes an important part of that packet and is one of the primary documents that the examiners will use along with your insight to be able to look at the organization, look at the current culture, look at the achievements that they've made, and make a decision on whether or not the organization is ready for a site visit.
All right, so like Sean said, the achievement report will take quite a while to write. And after you get that insight, we hope that you take some time to put some of that into the achievement report. And once it's submitted to the Shingo Institute, we'll build a team of 6 examiners to assess the achievement packet. This packet includes your application, your profile sheet, your org chart, the insight link, and the achievement report with your results included in that. All examiners will be confirmed through the applicant to make sure that there's no conflicts of interest. And after they're confirmed, we will send out the contact information of the examining team to the applicant, and they will provide the achievement packet to each one of the team members. We do it this way so the applicant is in control of their own information. When the packet is sent to each team member, the achievement packet assessment, or what we call the APA, officially starts. Approximately 2 to 3 weeks into the process, the team lead will schedule a virtual leadership review to talk to leadership and answer any questions that they would like to clarify on the achievement packet. The applicant will be notified from the Shingo Institute within 45 days of the examining team's decision after they receive that achievement packet, if the applicant is granted a site visit or not. There are 2 outcomes to the achievement packet assessment. A site visit will be granted, or there will be no site visit and the challenge process ends there. If the applicant does not receive a site visit, they will receive a detailed feedback report from the examining team that supports the decision and provides valuable feedback to assist the applicant in moving forward in its transformational journey. This will be the end of the challenging process for them. In this case, we hope that the organization will re-challenge in the future. We suggest to wait at least 2 years before re-challenging. This provides ample time to close gaps and address the issues presented in the feedback. If the organization does receive a site visit, they will receive notification from the Shingo Institute. We will also ask for 3 potential site visit dates that are 90 to 120 days out. I'll work with the official contact during this time to schedule the site visit and go over logistics. In an attempt to keep members of the same examining team, we do ask the achievement packet assessment team to be on the site visit team, but schedules and restrictions traveling wise doesn't always permit that. So we do try to keep that team the same, but it's not always the case. The team lead will create a detailed agenda in coordination with the official contact person for that site visit.
If you qualify for that site visit, now the examiners will come and actually visit your facility, right? They'll take 3 days looking for evidence of behaviors and talking to people, right? That's what examiners are doing. Just as we did back in the Go and Observe activities that I talked about in the workshop series, we do the same thing when we're assessing an organization. We need to talk to people. We need to gather data points of what is actually happening in the culture, what the behaviors actually are within the culture of an organization. And we're measuring that against the ideal, the same that we teach in that workshop series. So examiners will take their time doing that. Now you can imagine in your organizations, right? We've got leaders, managers, and we've got team members. Well, who do we have most of? It's mostly team members. And that's where examiners are going to spend a lot of their time, is talking to team members, because those are the folks that are down there exhibiting a lot of those behaviors, right? So again, we're gathering data points, and they'll go to all different parts of the organization in order to do this. So it's an exciting time. It's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of learning that goes on. And if you qualify for one, that's what they'll be doing, and that's what Brittany was just talking about arranging.
All right, before the Shingo Institute sends the award notification, what we talked about with the feedback report, a detailed feedback report will come from the examining team, and it will be emailed to the official contact person with an evaluation. That evaluation just takes a look at how you're going to use that feedback report and then send it back to us. As soon as we get that back, we'll send out the notification, and that usually comes around 30 days after the site visit. The possible award notifications are either no award, a bronze medallion, silver medallion, or the Shingo Prize. Descriptions for each of these awards are in the Shingo Prize Challenge guidelines. If you are an award recipient, you'll receive a PR packet. This information will help the Institute prepare for publicly announcing the award, and among other things, and you'll be working with me and Mary Price on that. These are a few of the items that we ask for our marketing department in the PR packet. They'll be used for publicly and announcing, and for press releases for announcing the award. All right, here are some of the ways that the Shingo Institute will publicly announce the award status. We have press releases, social media posts, the Shingo newsletter, alongside with more of those. One of the funnest ways that we announce is the Shingo Annual Award Conference and Gala. All award recipients will be recognized at this formal event, and we encourage you to bring a contingent of people on stage, and you'll be able to give remarks and be formally presented with the Shingo Prize, silver award medallion, or the bronze medallion award on stage. It's a really fun conference and gala. We will also put you on the website. The Shingo Prize stays on the website for 5 years, and the medallions stay on the website for 3 years. We also put you into the Shingo model booklet and slides on the Shingo workshops. And then I'll leave it up to Sean to tell you about some other opportunities, how we announce you.
So we also have a few other galas. We also have the gala the conference that's in LATAM and the conference that's in Europe as well. So those are other opportunities for us to be able to recognize you. So I get the opportunity to talk about what are some other things we can do after we're an award recipient. So representatives from your organization may be asked to share your story in conference talks or workshops or other venues that we have. That's a lot of how we spread that message and how we help share how we transform organizations. It also keeps the organization sharp. It helps you sustain and move forward with where you were from that award. You can provide guided tours in your facility to be able to not only show others what's happening, but also get feedback from people that are touring your organization. Valuable feedback that can help you, again, move forward and look at different perspectives, and keeps everybody sharp on talking about what was it like? What is it like now? Remember that all the new folks that come into your organization, they only know what it is right now. They get to hear what it was and what it is and get to feel a part of that story of what happened and how it happened. We may ask you on behalf of our researchers to help with the research to further the body of knowledge for operational excellence. Another real important part of what we do. How do we move this forward? How do we evolve it into where it's going in the next short term, long term, and also celebrations at your facility. Celebrate at your facility with the team members that made it happen. We've got ways to do that, suggestions on how to help with that. So all of these keep that momentum going as you move forward in your transformational efforts. We're happy that we can be a part of that. We look forward to working with you. Thanks for giving us this time to just talk with you a little bit about the process. And we're happy, like we said at the beginning, to set up any time that you'd like to continue the conversation.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate it. And we'll go ahead and open the time up for a Q&A.
Oh, great question on how do you become a Shingo examiner? If you remember, the first thing I talked about was the workshop series, right? Get that done, get that taken care of. And then we have some other requirements. We have some requirements of years of experience in operational excellence and things like that. But we're happy to send you out what those requirements are. We look for examiners from all different, from our not only our facilitators that train the workshops, but also from our recipient organizations that have already challenged. We look for it from people that know other people in the business. So we're always looking. So great question. Thank you. Oh, another interesting question, a value stream where almost everybody works from home. Well, there's a lot of those now. We're one of them, right? So we all work from home also. And actually we have done some of that. That is where they work, right? That's their gemba, right? That's their workplace. And that's where we meet people. And yes, we absolutely can work with that. Usually that's in combination with some work at a facility or that. Remember that as we identify the challenging entity, and we talk about this in the eligibility process and the guidelines, You'll see that they have to have a certain characteristics about them to be large enough to be a challenger in that. But absolutely, yeah, there's lots of customer service people that work at home now, online banking. There's all kinds of things that work from home now, so no problem. I've got one I want to address here. We've only got a few minutes, but it's how do we know when we're ready? And that's another important part. Helen's going to address that a little bit in insight here as we come up, because that's that self-assessment that I talked about. But also, as you go through that workshop series, one of the things you will come out of that looking at your organization differently and being able to begin to self-assess your organization with the same tools, the same assessment sheets that we work with. That's what we want people to be able to do when they go through those workshops. That's really important. And then if you work with an affiliate, one of the affiliates are the people that provide the workshops. That's our distribution channel for the workshops. They're the folks that help people identify those type of milestones, right? When are we ready? Right? That's a tough question, right? So great question. Thank you. I don't think I have time for, oh, no, we have a couple minutes here. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on.
We do have a couple questions in the Q&A. So Dean asked, can you win the Shingo prize multiple times? We don't say the word win, we say that you're a recipient because it's not a contest. But yes, we would like you to re-challenge. And Brittany.
Yeah, and Mary brings up an important point there, right? It's not, you're not competing against others, you're competing against yourself and the guidelines, right? And that's really important because it's about where you're going and where your journey's taking you. And that's one of the most important parts of it. But yes, we have several organizations that have challenged more than once. Some have become a bronze recipient and then have challenged and have moved up to a higher award level. Others have been Shingo Prize recipients and have challenged again and become recipients again. It's about sustaining and maintaining and moving forward, right? And we're always moving that up. So if an organization wants to stay on that journey, that's a good way to do it. It's a focal point, right?
And there is a part in our guidelines that talks about re-challenging, and your past challenge feedback report and documents that are in your achievement packet will become part of your new achievement packet. So that's how we kind of help you become sustainable.
We have another question. They ask, how many people in my company need to take the Shingo workshops in order to apply for the Shingo Prize?
Great question. That's dependent on a lot of things, but one is size of the organization, right? But for folks that are going to be, if you're going to transform your organization, right? It's like saying, if I'm going to do 5S in my organization, how many people have to understand it? Right? So it's the same type of question. It's going to take, it's at different levels, right? Depending on where you are in the organization. And that's why I brought up that team member review. But we also have the model handbook that you can download. The assessment guidelines are for everybody to download. We've got a lot of information that you can just get because everybody's got to be on the same page. Everybody's got to know why you're doing what you're doing and where you're going. And remember that the model was built and intended to strengthen what you already have, right? It's not a new program. It's to strengthen what you're currently doing and to move you to another level. So, but to take the actual workshops, usually people take a lot of the key management and that to take those workshops, a lot of the leadership to take those workshops so they understand that, and then they're able to move that down through the organization. So would you put everybody in the organization through the workshop? That's usually not practical, right? But you're looking at key leaders, key management, and taking them through those workshops and then disseminating that information as you move through, as you change your systems, as you begin to use that language in your own organization. It's a great question. Not an easy one to answer.
Our next question is the Insight tool available prior to challenging?
And the answer is yes.
Absolutely. Sorry, go ahead, Helen.
No. Yes, you'll hear more about it in the next session.
All right. Well, thank you, Sean and Brittany, for doing that. And we'll turn the time over to Helen now.
Alrighty. As Mary said, I'm Helen Zach, Research Director here at the Shingo Institute. And I've also been an examiner since 2004. Part of my role at the Shingo Institute is the oversight of the Insight product. So the format for this session will be the same as last session. I'll take about 15 minutes or so to show you some slides, and then we'll have a few minutes at the end for questions and answers. And as Brittany and Sean said, Shingo Insight is a self-assessment that the Shingo Institute has perfected over the last 10 years. And it's used in organizations around the globe on a regular basis. And as Sean said earlier, Insight is now a mandatory part of the Shingo Prize Challenge. And you have an option of when you take it. You can take it up to a year before you challenge, or at the time that you officially submit. So why these two options? Well, some organizations choose to take Insight ahead of time so that they can understand and work on those gaps before they apply. Something for you to consider. Other organizations just choose to wait until they apply. And Insight is a self-assessment. It's a look in the mirror. It's not a benchmarking tool. We will not compare you to other organizations, but you will compare yourself to yourself, hopefully over time, by taking this multiple times. And again, it's just another lens to look at your organization, and it's really about the voice of the employee. So you say, well, why do we need challenger organizations to take Insights? Well, it will help you to understand your current state, strengths and gaps, and alignment. It also helps us examiners to better understand the voice of the employee much earlier in the process. Before Insight, examiners would have to wait until they go on site for the on-site part of the challenge process to really understand the viewpoints of the employees. Now they can get it a lot earlier via Insight. So Insight is a web-based tool. It comes in 14 languages currently, and if you need another language, then we do the translation. It has 78 questions in total. 1 question on satisfaction, 10 questions on engagement, 66 questions on culture, and then 1 free-form question where participants are allowed to fill in a blank. It's written in plain language. It is at a US reading level, United States reading level, grade 9. Completely anonymous. We don't collect any identifying information such as names or emails. All you need is a digital device, a computer, a tablet, a phone, and internet access. And on average, it takes between 18 and 20 minutes to complete. And we at the Shingo Institute will work with each organization individually to design the survey and the filters that are unique to your organization so that you can drill down into different parts of your organization. So you may be saying, well, we already have surveys. We have a pulse survey or an employee satisfaction survey. Why can't we just use that? Well, the answer is no. Insight provides more than just satisfaction and engagement. And organizations that use Insight in other surveys appreciate the ability to verify and complement each survey with each other with different lenses. So the outcome of the self-assessment is an interactive report. It includes high-level summaries, like this one that you see on the screen right now, and very, very detailed analysis that you'll see in future slides. The report is then used as part of the challenge process. So the examiner, 6 examiners that Britt mentioned, would get a package of all information, including a link to the Insight data, where they would review this as part of that process. So Insight uses standard tools. It uses a Qualtrics platform for the survey part, and the report is in Tableau. Many organizations use that, and everything's electronic. So the data is stored at Utah State University very safely and securely, and available to your organization on a 24/7, 365 basis. Many organizations use Shingo Insight to establish a baseline long before they challenge for the prize. Some are very early in their journey, some are very mature, and a lot in between, but it's a way to establish that baseline. And also the data is used to make strategic decisions, and definitely is input into, your annual improvement roadmap. So here's another example of a summary graphic. This one compares how the entire organization rated itself against the Shingo principles. So again, you can see some strengths and opportunities. The total would have been a 10. So this organization rated itself a 7.2 overall out of 10. And here you're looking for strengths and gaps. Here, the cultural enabler dimension would be something that this organization might want to look a little closer at. So we're going to definitely drill down in more detail here. So do you know if your organization is aligned from top to bottom? Well, the Insight report will show you that alignment, both from top to bottom, but side to side, from department to department or function to function. So this bubble chart is another example of what you'll see in the report. In a real world, you want to have all 3 of these bubbles on top of each other and as far to the right as possible. But as we said, we all live in the real world, and there's always some variation from that ideal. So let's look at this one. So the team members are the front lines, managers are the middle managers, and leaders are senior leaders. Let's look at respect for every individual. Team members and managers scored that the same, so those bubbles are on top of each other. Their realities are the same. They're viewing day to day a little bit different than leaders who are viewing it as a little bit more rosy. So there's a difference here. There's a gap. How can you close that gap? So this would be something this organization would want to ask questions, go and see, ask why, and ask what might be causing this. Because remember, systems and drive behaviors. So key point, Insight will not give you answers. It's just going to tell you, give you actually more questions to ask, but areas to be able to focus in on so that you can better understand your current state. So let's look at some more detail. There's a lot to digest in this slide, so bear with me in this heat map. So let's think about the scale first. So greens are agree and strongly agree, the yellows are the neutrals, and the reds and the oranges are I disagree, and the black and grays are either not relevant to my job or I don't know. then you see to the left-hand side that there's 3 different aspects. So this is organized by Shingo principle first, then by dimension, and then behavioral benchmarks. And remember, behavioral benchmarks are those groupings of ideal behaviors. And we provide, we always forget what some of the benchmarks mean. So we have a button where you can toggle to see what the definitions are. And this is one of the interactive parts where we can filter down to different areas, different departments, different facets of the organization, depending on how we design the survey. I'm going to be able to show you a quick demo of the product, which I think I can. So I'm going to stop share for a minute. I am going to go to the report and share my screen again. So this is an example of a real insight report. I'm just going to try to move the controls out so we can actually see. There's 6 tabs going from very high level to very detailed. And I'm just going to go through each page quickly because you've seen some of the graphics before. So the demographics page, oops, let's see if Qualtrics is going to behave for me today. So you saw this, the bottom part of this graphic before. This is job satisfaction and engagement. In the current view, it's shown for the entire organization, but then we can start to filter down to different areas. So this organization chose position level, length of service, and job function as their filters. These other demographics on the right-hand side are just static. Things that this organization wanted to know about the population that was answering the survey. So as you hit the filters, you get a deeper dive into the organization. So let's just say, let's hit the manager filter. And you see that both the graphics for job satisfaction and job engagement change. And here you're looking status at a glance, visual management, like the colors matter. And you want to see what's similar, what's different. So here we look at engagement for the managers. You see that there's a lot of green, which is good, but you see a lot of red. And so HR and trade union would be an area that you'd want to go and ask some questions about what's going on, why are people not engaged? And then in IT, like this is a great place to work. Like they're all satisfied. So again, you can use one filter, you can use a couple, and you can spend a lot of time drilling down to better understand. The second tab is a static tab. These don't move, but they share the graphics that we just saw. So I'm not going to spend more time in it. But the one I wanted to spend just a couple minutes on is this heat map. So this is similar to the one that we just saw on the PowerPoint slide. But we always tell organizations, like, look at the ones with a lot of black and a lot of gray. These are opportunities to educate and understand, like, why do people not think that some of this applies to them? Or if they don't know, maybe, that's an opportunity to educate and get engaged. So here we also can sort in a number of different ways. Currently, it's sorted by this grand average. So you can see where you scored the highest and the lowest. We can also change the order. So if you want to order it by the Shingo principle or dimension, which I just did here, you can see that it gives it just a little different view. And again, we can filter. So if you want to know, let's see, distribution, how is that department faring versus others. So you can do distribution with people that have been there for more than 5 years, high seniority. And in this case, you could look at the managers or the team members, and you can create some hypotheses that you'll want to test out. And then finally, this is a really deep dive in principle by principle. I'm not going to go through this. It'll take much more time than what I have. But again, you can drill down. And here you can actually see some of the questions in the score with the question. And then finally, the type-in question is list up to 3 opportunities in my organization that we should consider for improvement. It is an optional question, but most people do fill it out. We also add another filter here that if you indicating if that employee was satisfied or dissatisfied. Sometimes it's interesting to know that as you look at the comments. So, in summary, Insight is just another tool and another lens to look at your organization and not in one set of data for the application process. Insight from beginning to end, from designing your survey to administering it, and then getting this report back and a summary that goes along with it. It takes about 6 weeks from beginning to end. And I believe in others who have taken it, it's a valuable tool for your journey. And I know I went through this really, really, really quick. But if you'd like a demo, a personal demo to show you an Insight report, and I can go through it and answer your questions, you can contact me via the email that we're going to provide. Or if you go to shingo.org and click the Insight tab and you scroll down halfway, there's a button and you just add your coordinates, and you'll be able to see, that'll be sent to me and I'll contact you.
Oh, Helen, there is one question. Maybe we can answer that really quick. They're launching a new culture model in a few months. Do you recommend taking this assessment before or after launching it?
Anytime. And does the tool give you a numerical value that you can compare with the points needed to achieve a medal? The answer is no. It'll give you some numerical values that you can compare to yourself over time. But again, Insight is just one facet of the application process.
Yeah, and I think the important part to remember there is it's that internal assessment, right? It's people answering that question from their perspective of where they're working, and that versus a team of trained examiners going in. So it's a little bit different. There's reasons for it, but I'm sure if you wanted more discussion on that, Helen would be happy to entertain that for you.
One other question, is there a limit on the number of times you can use the Insight assessment?
No, there isn't, but here's the caution. You should take it in a time period or a rhythm where you can implement change in between the times you take it. So we definitely say don't take it every 3 months or 6 months, usually every year, every 18 months, depending on how fast you can implement change.
All right. Well, that's all we have
Great
time.
questions.
We'll say goodbye and we'll see you again.
Thank you, everyone.